This is why I say God is not real. Jesus is not real. And black people are following three religions created by humans. The Abrahamic religions are, without a doubt, the most damaging belief systems ever imposed on humanity. Let's explain what an Abrahamic religion actually is. Abrahamic religions are belief systems that all trace their authority to one man, Abraham. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all come from the same source, worship the same God, and operate under the same framework. Different names, same system, same power structure. These religions are built on the idea that one man was chosen by an invisible God, that his bloodline was favored above all others, and that everyone outside of that lineage must submit, convert, or be punished. That alone exposes the truth. This was never universal spirituality. This was tribal ideology that later became global through force. Now sit back and ask yourself a real question. I am 100% African. What does Abraham's bloodline have to do with me? What does Israel, Judea, Mecca, or Rome have to do with me? What does land promises made to another people have to do with my ancestors? I am not from those lands. I am not from those bloodlines. I was never chosen in those stories. So why am I expected to live by their laws? Abrahamic religions are bloodline-based religions. Everything in them revolves around genealogy, lineage, chosen people, sacred lands, and inherited covenants. That is historical fact. These belief systems were never designed for the world. They were designed for specific tribes and later weaponized by empires. African spirituality never operated like that. It did not need a book, a priest, or a threat of hell. Truth was observed through nature, the sun, the stars, the body, cause and effect, and the ancestors. There was no idea that one group owned God, or that land could be granted by an invisible ruler in the sky. The God of Abraham mirrors human kings. He gets angry, demands worship, chooses sides, sanctions war, supports slavery, silences women, and commands destruction. That is not a universal creator. That is a projection of male rulers during the Bronze Age. God was made in the image of man, not the other way around. Jesus appears later as the perfect tool for empire. No eyewitness accounts, no contemporary records, no writings from people who personally knew him. Yet the message conveniently teaches obedience, submission, suffering now for reward later, turning the other cheek, and accepting injustice. That message is ideal for enslaved people and beneficial for those in power. That is not coincidence. Christianity and Islam did the same thing to black people. Different languages, same outcome. Both erased African spiritual systems, labeled ancestors as demons, destroyed shrines, criminalized rituals, and replaced ancestral memory with prophets. Conversion was not spiritual, it was violent. Black people did not choose these religions. We were captured, chained, beaten, renamed, and then told our salvation was found in the same God used to justify our enslavement. That is documented history. When a belief system is introduced through violence, it leaves a psychological imprint. Over generations, the trauma fades, but the belief remains. That is why descendants now defend the same religions that were forced on their ancestors. Questioning feels like betrayal because the mind has been conditioned to associate obedience with survival. Religion itself means to bind. The Latin word religare means to restrain, to tie down. Religion does not free the mind, it binds it. That is why logic is discouraged, questioning is labeled doubt, fear is called faith, and submission is framed as love. If black people were truly chosen, we would not have been cargo. Chosen people are protected. Chosen people are not owned. Calling enslaved Africans chosen after centuries of terror is spiritual gaslighting. African cosmology had to be destroyed because it made slavery impossible. It taught that divinity is within nature, power flows through ancestors, balance matters more than obedience, and no external authority stands between humans and source. A people who understand that cannot be controlled. So it was erased. In its place came external gods, external saviors, external validation, and external permission to exist. I was not born into Abraham's story. I was inserted into it by force. I was not chosen. I was converted. I was not saved. I was reprogrammed. And the deepest deception is convincing the descendants of the captured to emotionally defend the worldview of the captor. That is not faith. That is colonization of the mind.